All right, welcome to today's explainer. We are diving into a really radical idea for creativity. And it comes from a source called the Anti-Manual for Not Knowing. It's basically a guide to help you unlearn everything you think you know, and trust me, it gets wonderfully weird.
I mean, think about it. We live in a world that is just obsessed with certainty, right? In our jobs, everything is about AI workflows, data analysis. There's just this constant, immense pressure to have a data-backed, logical, and totally predictable answer for every single thing. So this begs a pretty huge question. If every single path is already mapped out by the data we have, and every decision has to be justified by what we already know, how in the world do you stumble onto something genuinely new? How do you break out of that loop?
Which brings us to our first section, the pressure to know. This is the default setting for most of us.
It's really a kind of predictability trap. We're using AI trained on yesterday's hits, and we're always being told to justify every single move, every risk. And this shoves us right into the expert trap, this belief that all the answers are already out there, hidden in the existing knowledge. So the goal isn't really innovation anymore, is it? It's just predictability.
So, what's the antidote here? Well, this is where our anti-manual takes a very sharp turn into some fantastic, strange territory. It actually proposes a full-on guide to not knowing.
And here's the very first principle, the law of unknowing. It sounds a little bit like a Zen koan, doesn't it? You admit you don't know, and you get wise. But then, and this is the best part, it immediately pulls the rug out from under you. Don't cling to that. The second you think, I get it, I'm wise because I don't know, well, you're already back to knowing something. You lost it.
And this is the central paradox of the whole thing. You can't try to not know. I mean, the act of trying is a plan, it's an effort, it's a form of control. That's still knowing. So not knowing isn't some skill you can master. It's more of a state of mind that you just allow to happen. You have to let go.
So, if you can't try, what do you do? Well, the manual has some exercises for what it calls professional unknowers. And that's basically anyone who needs to break out of the prison of their own expertise.
And this beginner's mind drill is just fantastic. It's designed to literally dismantle your own sense of self and expertise. In the morning, you look yourself in the eye and say, I have no idea who you are. At noon, you find a kid, ask them to explain your job, and you have to accept their answer as truth. Then at night, you practice the art of letting go, of forgetting. It's such a powerful way to hit the reset button on all your assumptions.
This whole idea even extends to how we present ourselves professionally. I mean, just look at this unresume. Instead of skills, it lists unlearning at alarming speeds. Experience? None, or all of it, but it doesn't matter anyway. And the references? A cat, a rock, and the void, who all naturally declined to comment. It's hilarious, but it's also such a sharp critique of how obsessed we are with credentials. What if all our past successes are the very things holding us back?
Okay, so let's take this little rebellion from our heads and bring it into the office. The manual actually gives us a toolkit for twisting all that corporate jargon that keeps us locked in old ways of thinking. Welcome to the not knowing workplace.
So instead of best practices, the safe, established, and let's be honest, often boring way to do things, the manual says to try no practices. This is about creating a space where a hunch, where your intuition, where a random creative spark is actually allowed to stand up and challenge the spreadsheet.
And we've all been there, right? At the end of the meeting, someone always asks, so, what are the key takeaways? But what if the goal was the exact opposite? What if we aimed for key giveaways? What if a meeting was a place to shed your assumptions, to leave emptier with way more questions than you had when you walked in the door?
And this all builds up to a direct challenge to the ultimate corporate god, ROI, the return on investment. The anti-manual proposes a totally new metric, return on ignorance. What's the creative profit you get from deliberately unlearning what you were so sure was true? That's a different kind of value.
This brings us to the final, and maybe the most difficult section of all, the art of unconclusion. How do you actively fight that deep human need we all have for a nice, tidy ending?
So the manual gives us these little paradoxical puzzles, these koans. Just think about this one for a second. If you don't know who's asking, does the question exist? We just assume we're this stable I who asks things. But if you shake that foundation, like with that mirror exercise, if you're not sure who you are, what happens to the question? It sort of dissolves the whole basis for asking.
And this one is a direct assault on our love of planning. It tells you to use all of your expertise, all your navigation skills to create the perfect plan, to get completely lost. And then, once you've made this perfect map to nowhere, you burn it. It's all about the process of letting go of the plan, not about actually reaching the destination of being lost.
So how do you put this into practice? You actively fight closure. You start a sentence, and then you just let it go. You can leave blank spaces in your work documents and literally label them, "Here be dragons," acknowledging the unknown. And instead of a big, conclusive summary, you could end your next presentation by just asking, "Wait, what was the question again?" It's all about keeping the creative process messy and alive.
And so we end with the manual's absolutely perfect piece of non-advice. This anti-manual is useless. Use it vigorously. And really, that's the whole point. The moment you try to turn not knowing into some useful, productive system, you've already missed it. The only real path is to embrace its uselessness, to play with these ideas, and to just see what happens when you finally let go of needing an answer.